Hello, everybody. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about third-party published material that I think is amazing and does a few things better than, like, regular 5th edition. Hey everybody, Jordan here, the PH is silent, and I wanted to talk about a couple books today about specifically Genie warlocks. Now, I really like genies. I think they're really cool. I like that mythology, and I incorporate it into a lot of stuff that I work on game-wise. I've run it in the past, and I love the Zakhara Al-Qadim setting. It has its problems back in the day, but I think it could be realized again today. And case in point, I was really excited when the Wizards of the Coast was going to come out with a Genie Warlock because it just fits Warlock so well. And I thought it was going to be really, really awesome. And I was let down. When it was finally released in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything after the playtest and stuff, I just wasn't impressed. I kept building a Warlock in some kind of fashion, and it never really felt like it would be fun. So I've never technically played one, but I will say that I have 2 books here that I want to talk about that I feel do the Genie Warlock the service that it deserves. So the first book I want to talk about is the Zakhara Campaign Guide. This is a campaign setting guide for Al-Qadim, the Land of Fate, which is a 2nd edition campaign setting for Dungeons & Dragons. And this is actually a DM's Guild product because you can't make something for Zakhara directly unless you go through the DM's Guild because it's the IP there. You can make stuff adjacent, but like these people, you could tell really liked the setting, knew the problems with the setting, and that Wizards of the Coast might not pick it up. It just isn't something that they want to touch right now. So they went ahead and said, well, we'll make it. And they did. And so you have not only character classes in here to help you fit into the Land of Fate, but monsters and plot hooks and backgrounds and like setting information about it's a really cool book. You can get it hardback through the DM's Guild. I'll put links down below, but you can also just get the PDF. I think it's really awesome, and I want to take a look at the Warlock. So let's dive in. So here is Adventures of the Land of Fate. And I was going to go, we got a title page, credits, contents. So there's a whole section on genies and how they interact with the Land of Fate. And if you're very, very curious about this, I'm going to kind of gloss over it because I just want to talk mostly about the Genie subclass and highlight that people are doing more interesting stuff than Wizards of the Coast. But I did do a review of this whole thing, and I will link it down below as well, and you can check it out there. So this is Warlock, Pact of the Lamp, and the Noble Genie Patron. So the majority of Warlock patrons form pacts with the Warlock independently of the patron's nature, but a Warlock who seeks a Noble Genie has but one option for the pact, which is the Pact of the Lamp. Similarly, no other patron will feel bound to this pact for all intents and purposes. The Pact of the Lamp and the Noble Genie Patron are one in the same. The features of the pact and the benefits of the patron are effectively the same progression. So at first level, you get a Genie Familiar, which is, you get the Find Familiar spell, but you can have a Djinn, so to speak, which is a very, it's a Genie spirit that was popular with the Sha'ir in 2nd edition for the Land of Fate. The Sha'ir in 2nd edition were all about, they were a casting class, but you relied on your Djinn to go and find spells for you. So if you wanted to cast Fireball, you would talk to it, and then it would leave, sometimes mid-battle, to go to the plane of fire and talk to an Afridi and say, my master wants this, and kind of like bargain for you. And then it would come back with the spell and allow you to cast it. And it's a fun idea. So with that and this pact boon, you can ask your Djinn to go and get spells that are not Warlock spells for you. So zooming in here, if your class spell list, and if it's a spell that's on your cast spell list, it takes about a minute or so. But if it's higher than what you can normally cast, but it's on your spell list, 10 minutes. If it's not on your spell list, and if it's a spell very foreign to you, it's going to be spell level times hour. But I really like that you could get spells outside of your class and make it something clutch. Like, we don't have a healer, I'm going to go ask for cure wounds today. Or nobody can lesser restore, I'm going to do a lesser restore today. And then at 6th level, you can call a genie or an elemental spirit to come and aid you, not necessarily to fight, but to assist you in some way. And at 14th level, you get Genie Binding, where you make your own pact or contract with a genie lesser than you that will serve you and help you and do various tasks for you. It says here, like, assist in constructing a magic item, which I really enjoy, guarding a tower, or providing magical transportation in some way. It says normally a genie will not fight for you except under specific circumstances, because the genie is working for you out of a contract that you have done with it, not necessarily like it's under your control. Very fun. And then there are some options here to separate the pact and the patron. So pretty straightforward. To me, feels like a genie warlock, because you're interacting with genies, you have genies, they do things like that. Now let's go back to this is D&D Beyond with the actual genie warlock that Wizards of the Coast came out, and a lot of this is genie adjacent. We have tropes like, well, what's the genie's vessel? And then when you have this vessel, you can jump inside of it, but you're very rarely like interacting with genies or spirits or elemental creatures. Everything is making you kind of like a genie. You can go into your genie vessel. You can take on, you have resistance to damage that is part of the genie that you're here. And then you get limited wish later on. And this didn't feel very genie-ish. Now, the next book I want to talk about is Historica, Arcanum, The City of the Crescent. These publishers just came out with another book that they finished the Kickstarter for. This is their first one, and it has a genie subclass that's actually tied with a sorceress subclass. I don't know if this would work for every setting, but if you want, like, if I had a player interested, I would definitely propose this and talk about it, because in this book, the genie warlock, if you lose control of the genie that you're making a pact or a bargain with, it can kind of inhabit your body and take over your body. And then you actually switch classes into a sorcerer, where you have this elemental spirit bound into your soul, and that is what is giving you various elemental spells. So let's take a look at this. And I'm not gonna lie, this is just a really cool book. It's a complete setting. I believe the authors are from Turkey, Istanbul, and they just wanted to make a cool supplement, and like, it's just super, super cool. And has a lot of mythology and, or I should say it mythology that I don't see in a lot of 5th edition material. Case in point, we'll zoom in here just a little bit. It came with a soundtrack, which is really cool. They have the origin of magic, and it kind of describes how magic works in this world using 5e rules and the mythology of that, and then running a story here. So it really wants to help you with the story. I think this is a fantastic book, and the quality and stuff is really great. But we're going to jump over to subclass options, and we're going to find our warlock. So here's our warlock. It is the DjinnMaster. So it is told that the Djinn are made of a smokeless fire, a primordial substance. Calling them elementals would be wrong. What we call smokeless fire have nothing to do with our version of flames. Their need for a vessel is also a myth. Neither do they grant any wishes, but it is true that they scour a parallel world, and they constantly interfere with ours. Never call them by their name. Names have the power to summon. Refer to them as 3-lettered ones instead. Contacting them is fruitless, and not because they won't answer, they will, but you risk them having a laugh at the expense of your bodily integrity. Worse is If one takes a liking to you, they are envious creatures, and God Almighty help those that they think are a competition for your attention. So the expanded spell list is Command, Bane, Augury, Speak with Dead, Bestow Curse, Banishment, Polymorph, Dominate Person, and Hold Monster. This is a Warlock subclass that has some Pact Boons and Invocations that kind of go along with it. So level 1, you're going to get proficiency with Arcana. If you're already proficient, blah, blah, blah. When rolling to gain knowledge on the realm of Al-Gaib, which is the world of this, you can ask your Djinn to give you a +10 bonus to that check as long as you use this feature before the roll. You can't use this feature again until you finish a short or long rest. Level 1 is also Controlled Possession. You learn how to command the Djinn's power for a brief amount of time, but this comes at a great cost. Starting at first level, as a bonus action, you can pull your consciousness back for your Djinn to take over your body for a brief amount of time, enhancing your combat abilities. You add a d6 force damage to all of your melee and ranged damage rolls, including ranged spell attack rolls. And as long as the Djinn is in control, this damage is increased to 2d6 force at level 5 and 2d8 force at level 11 and 3d8 at level 14. For each time that you use this ability in one combat, it doesn't matter if you hit or miss, you pick a d6 and roll them all at the end of combat and apply the amount of psychic damage to yourself. Feature lasts for 1 minute. So I can do this in combat. I can do a lot of other stuff. At the end, though, it might be so much strain on my body that I just collapse. And then here's an optional feature of level 1 losing control, where with every level you gain in this class, you can make a charisma saving throw. The difficulty is set by the DM. More powerful Djinn means higher difficulty. And on the third successive failure, the Djinn possesses your body and you become a sorcerer of the Djinnposessed. You retain your level, experience, and abilities, but everything else about your class has changed. And we'll get back to that as we look at the Djinn-possessed sorcerer. Level 6 is the Unfathomable Being. The Djinn possesses your body, but it doesn't like to be spied upon or tracked by magic, so starting at 6th level, whenever you are being targeted by an enchantment or a divination spell, the spellcaster has to roll a wisdom save, and on a failed save, the effect of the spells are negated, and that user actually takes psychic damage. You can make the world around you frightened. As an action, you can unleash a fraction of the Djinn's true form. Each creature that can see the Djinn makes a wisdom save, or they are frightened of you for a minute. And level 10, you get Nether Armor. The Djinn inside you starts to care about its vessel, which is you. And it shows a hint of care to your personality and tries to protect you by manifesting itself as an amorphous shield that protects you when you are threatened. So at 10th level, you can use one of your spell slots or Mystical Arcanum of any level once it's available to you to use your reaction to reduce incoming damage by 2d8 or a d8 equal to the Mystical Arcanum slot that you used. And level 14, Loosen the Chain. Starting at 14th level, you will be able to unleash your Djinn outside of your body for a short time. You use your action to target a humanoid you can see within 60 feet of yourself and send your Djinn to possess that creature. And even though you can sense the creature with magic, you will need a direct line of sight to this humanoid. The humanoid must make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC, and on a failure, the target's humanoid's body is up in your control for 1 hour as per the Dominate Person spell. While still in the possession of your target, you can still act freely, granted the visual link between you and the targeted humanoid is not broken. However, you can't use your other abilities, but you can use this feature again after a long rest. Pact of the Eye allows you to have some magical eyes. You can see shapeshifters and stuff. And then there's some fun invocations. Dead spirits around you. You can sense any undead within 30 feet of you. Touch of the Eye. You can cast Nazar once a day without expending a spell slot, a spell in this book. Way of the Sage, you gain proficiency with Arcana. And Voices, you can use your bonus action to sense fiends, fays, and djinns around 30 feet of you that are not behind total cover. And this is fun. Maddening Blast with a prerequisite of Eldritch Blast. Once a day, when you hit a creature, you can make them hear maddening voices, which will give them disadvantage on the next attack roll. Very fun. This doesn't feel like a cartoony, typical kind of Djinn wizard, but I like the idea of you're battling this thing or controlling it within, you're the vessel. Like, I think that's really, really fun. And it does involve some interesting roleplay mechanics because of losing to the genie and what have you. So let's walk over here to the sorcerer Djinnposessed. So you were tricked or your will broken, but your body has become a playground of the Djinn. In moments of clarity, Djinnposessed can act as their own masters using their memory and knowledge of the world, but however, most often they act as their own in a foreign body in a foreign realm, trying to absorb as much information as possible and trying to blend in. The origins: you were a powerful spellcaster who summoned an even more powerful being than you, and now you have been possessed by your own summon. Someone summoned a Djinn and used you as a sacrifice to bind it to the world, but the outcome was far different than they expected. Very, very fun. I just love it. So Djinnposessed magic, you have all of these extra spells, and they don't count as sorcerer spells just like that. Level 1, you get Djinn Touch. Starting at first level, you learn Djinn Speak, and your inner Djinn's influence will start to have effects on the world around you. You can expend one of your first level spell slots by touching a creature and can force the creature to make a saving throw against your spell save DC for them to lose the ability to speak for an hour, for them to gain a level of exhaustion, for them to have a fear. And then here again is the optional feature, the Djinn Inside, where you can go through an exorcism to have this Djinn expelled from your body, or basically the human side of you or the character side of you gains control again. And then you have an option to become a warlock with it and make a pact. And I kind of like this like back and forth. You could essentially play two characters, and depending on how things go, you would then, okay, well, we're going to switch over to this character that has these spells and things like that. At 6th level, your body starts to decay from the effect of the Djinn, so this is not a healthy subclass. Starting from the time you reach 6th level, you will have 1 month before your body becomes completely useless. Once a month has ended, only magical healing and greater restoration will help to preserve your body. And if you do not use magical ways of stopping the decay of your body, you will suffer consequences. And if you die, you cannot be resurrected. However, you can change your body when you touch another humanoid. Remember, you're the Djinn, and you're in control of this body. The Djinn Warlock is the Warlock is in control and is using the Djinn for magic. But as this Djinn, you could find a new human host. It's kind of dark. It's pretty interesting. Level 6, Unveil the Dark Half. Starting at 6th level, your Djinn will be able to leave your body and fight for you. It can appear for 10 feet of you and has its own initiative roll. It can't go any more than 30 feet from you and have half your hit points. When the distance between you exceeds 30 feet, you and the Djinn, or it drops to 0 hit points, the Djinn is forced back into your body and you can't use this feature again. The Djinn's stats are the same as yours, and regardless of your abilities, it can take one attack action with Decay Touch. The other actions it can take are Dash, Disengage, Dodge, and Hide. Decay Touch is a melee weapon attack that does 2d6 psychic damage. Level 14, you get Baneful Adversary. Starting at 14th level, the Djinnposessed starts to lay curses on people. You can use your bonus action to curse a foe, and it will have disadvantage on its next saving throw. And then 18, True Form. You can use a bonus action to unleash the Djinn Inside, gaining a new Djinn-like form, and this new and powerful form will last for 1 minute. While you're in the true form, you can fly. You have magic resistance, and any damage magic spell you cast will always have a chance to deal maximum damage. Roll an additional d6 when you cast the damaging spell. If you roll higher than a 3, the spell deals full damage. This feature can't be used for spells higher than 7th level. When your true form ends, you won't be able to move and take actions until after your next turn, and you will have 1 level of exhaustion. Once you use this feature, you must finish a long rest before you can use it again. So there we have it, Zakhara campaign guide. I'll put a link down below, and Historica Arcanum, which this book, if you want to run a campaign in that style, it's really, really awesome. And then I was also going to talk about the Primordial Warlock patron in Tome of Heroes, but it didn't fit the Genie vibe that much that I was going for. But I really like these 2 Genie classes over the one that's in Tasha's. And all of this OGL stuff that's been going around. I personally wrote and rewrote my OGL script probably 3 or 4 times because the information was updating so much. But I want to really emphasize that third-party content is awesome and is often way better than the first-party content that you're going to be using. So go out and support third-party content creators for Dungeons & Dragons. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.